Okay, and welcome to another podcast. And this week we have Ian Genius, who's going to be talking to us about sales without selling. But first of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Andrew from the Academy World, and what we do is we support startup businesses and SMEs to thrive and achieve your dreams. So, Ian, first of all, tell us a bit about yourself and your past.
Okay, so I'm Ian Genius with an Ian Genius alternative to selling. And the reason I lead with that is because in 1998, my name is Ian Gilbert, the salesman that hates selling. So I've just fallen out of university. I've just done a degree in mathematics. I've got no money, no job, no clue. I've run out of railway line, and I take the only thing that really exists with quick notice and not a great deal of skill, and that was in 1998 to get a retail sales job in Nottingham Town Centre selling mobile phones. That was the same year that pay-as-you-talk phones started coming in. It didn't exist. There was only one problem with becoming a salesman. That's I hate selling. It does seem a flaw, doesn't it?
Well, it's definitely a flaw, and it's fascinating you've made it your mission and your career.
Yeah. So I was the salesman that hated selling. I wasn't confident selling myself. I was uncomfortable bringing up price. I detest being sold to. I hate feeling persuaded, convinced, manipulated, coerced into making choices because they fundamentally couldn't make the choice easy enough. So I refused to be the pushy salesman that was going to force people to buy, manipulate people to buy. I've got a fear of rejection. I don't like getting told no's. So combine all this horrible mess. I'm the salesman that hates selling. So this should have been an unmitigated disaster. But the thing is, I just finished a degree in mathematics. I've just spent up to 21 years problem solving. And I don't like getting beaten. So I thought, what if there was a far easier, simpler, more effective way to get clients to say yes, and you didn't need to get better at selling?
It's very scary. I remember when I first got involved in selling, that's asking a customer to say yes and having the courage. Do I do it now? Am I too late? Are they not ready? Will they be offended? And all these fears go through your mind as a person. And so I totally relate to how you felt. And why you preach what you preach. And I'm pretty sure we've got a lot of listeners who don't feel comfortable asking that crucial question. Do you want it? Do you want to buy it? Or actually almost being embarrassed about asking for the business. So
here's a question.
Yes.
What if you didn't need to?
Well, I'm not too sure how that would be possible, but I'm guessing that.
Okay. Are you open-minded enough to believe it is possible? So I've spent 26 years removing selling from sales. So what if you could make your service so easy to buy that you didn't need to get better at selling? What if you could make your service so easy to buy that clients closed their own sales? If they said, Andrew, I want to buy your service, you would never need to say, do you want to buy the service? You'd remove yourself. And the thing is, we know it's possible. Have you ever been into a shop, Andrew, and one of your favorite shops, and you've seen a deal that was amazing, and you've picked it up and you've taken it to the counter and said, I'd like to buy this, please? Has that ever happened?
Yes.
How good did they need to be at selling?
They didn't need to be good at all at selling.
They just needed to process the order and just exchange pleasantries with you, like, have a good day.
And take my money.
Yeah. So that's it. We already know it's possible. If you make something so easy to buy, you don't need to get better at selling. Most people don't want to get better at selling. They want better sales. They want more clients taking more services for more money. The act of selling is the medium they think they need to get good at to improve their sales. But what if that was nonsense? What if that was a way of doing it, but it wasn't the best way? And I've spent 26 years obsessed on this subject. What if you could make it so easy to buy that you didn't need to get better at selling?
And is this just business to consumer, or is it business to business, or
It doesn't make a difference. It does not make a difference if it's business to business, business to consumer. It doesn't matter if you have a product or a service. It doesn't matter if it's technical. It doesn't matter if it's emotional. It doesn't matter if it's a commodity. It doesn't matter. Every business has a product or service that solves a problem that clients have. They have the problem, you have the solution. That is fundamentally it. They have the problem, whether they realize it or not, but they have the problem, you have the solution. But here's one of my golden rules. Before they can use you, first they must choose you. And it doesn't matter.
And how do you get someone to choose you?
Well, this is it. This is, can you make the choice so easy that you don't? For me, selling is about steering people, forcing people to make a choice. But if you go the other way, you make this choice so easy you don't need to. I'm 6 foot tall, I'm 18 stone. I can put most people in a headlock, right? I love wrestling. I can physically strong enough to put people in a headlock, crank the headlock in real tight and say, are you going to buy my things until they're blue in the head? And they'll say, yes. I can force people to buy under duress, but they will cancel with buyer's remorse and tell everyone to avoid me very, very quickly. It's the wrong way around. The whole thing's completely wrong.
And buyer's remorse is a big thing now, isn't it?
Yeah, no one wants to make a deal, a choice, thinking that they were put under duress. All we want as people with ethics. All we want people to do is make good choices, good buying choices, informed choices. We don't want to wrap them up, confuse them, bamboozle them. We want people to make a good choice. But when that confusion kills sales, so when that choice is too hard, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in a bit, but when that choice is too hard, you're basically causing people to guess, make ill-informed choices under duress. And as soon as people do that, even if they've made a good choice, but they feel like it was an ill-informed choice because there was too much guesswork involved, they'll doubt it and they'll get buyer's remorse, and then they'll, oh, I better leave it, I'll cancel it. And they'll probably, not only will they cancel it, but they'll tell others to avoid you like the plague because you were pushy, salesy, sleazy, put them under pressure, which no one likes.
No. So when you say that you're solving the problem, it's not. I mean, when you say problem, is that what the consumer or the business needs when you say the problem?
Okay, so everything I see is a problem, right? But the more problems you have, the more solutions you can provide, the more progress you make. Most people don't like admitting problems. They feel it shows some frailty in their character. But the thing is, if you have no problems, is it possible to solve no problems?
No, it's not, no.
So now you have no problems, which seems good. You have no solutions and you stay the same. Problem, solution, progress, no problem, no solution, stay the same. If a business wants more clients, taking more services for more money, staying with them for longer, getting more referrals, something even better, that's progress. To get progress, you need solutions. To get solutions, you must have problems. Problems are very good. The more problems you have, the more solutions you can receive, the more progress you make. When most people will tell me, I'm converting 7 out of 10, whoopee friggin' do, right? Apart from the fact that was nonsense, I'll put money on it. That was 1 week in 1984, right? If you're converting 7 out of 10, either you've worked with me already and I've got Alzheimer's because I can't remember it, right? You're not charging enough money or you're a pathological liar. But even if it was true, and it won't be, 10 minus 7 leaves 3, unless my maths has suddenly gone terrible.
It's so good.
So don't focus on the 7 that said yes. Why did 3 people out of 10 say no to the best solution to their problem? because it wasn't easy enough to pick. So let's focus. If you want to improve, don't blow smoke up your bum with the 7 you've already got. Work out why 3, they're the problem. Why do those 3 out of 10 say no? You can't genuinely tell me people are deliberately trying to kibosh their own progress. That choice wasn't easy enough. Or if someone says we convert 7 out of 10, but 6 of the 7 took less than they recommended, that's the problem. Just because they said yes, whoopee-doo. But they all needed the gold service. They all took the bronze. So now we spin it round. Why did they pick the bronze instead of the gold? Was it they were confused? Did they miss the value? Were you not confident selling yourself? Something caused that outcome. So this is when you said, does it work for any business? Yeah, because before you can use them, they have to choose them. Every business will be limited, not by their service, but their ability to communicate the value of the service. Every business, when they say, I'll think about it, and the conversation collapses, that's true of every business known to man, business to business, business to consumer. When they say, I'll just go for the cheap option, that's not relevant to whether it's a product or service. This is a truism of all business. Before they can use you, first they must choose you. Every time they don't make a good choice, grab it by the horns and say, good, what went wrong? More problems, more solutions, more progress.
So I've got loads of questions in my mind, but so how do you identify what the client's problems is to help you find the solution? What would be your general advice?
So I need 3 things. I mean, these are actually truisms as well. This is the 3 things that every business needs: ambition, honesty, and an open mind.
Okay.
If you don't want to do better, we're not going to find any problems because you don't have any. If you're not honest enough to admit them, you can't help an alcoholic who won't admit they've got a problem. And if you're not open-minded, thinking that there might be a solution that you don't know exists, there's no point anyway. So 3 things. So the first thing is, if they say to me, I like to tag it onto honesty. If every conversation you have says yes to you, they say yes to everything that you recommend, perfect, I can't help you. Your sales conversion is perfect. Every problem that you can solve, you solve. They take everything you recommend. That decision went 100% to plan. Obviously, that doesn't exist. Most people have 8 out of 10 conversations will end with "I'll think about it" before they go to a cheaper competition. Bad choice. Do it themselves badly. Bad choice. Completely ignore the problem, only to later regret doing nothing. Bad choice. 8 times out of 10, that person made a bad choice. We've got a load of problems.
So let's talk about the "I'll think about it," because I think that's probably the easiest as a buyer we use to get rid of the salesperson.
Yeah.
So when you hear "I'll think about it," what do you believe is being said, or what do you think the momentum is behind that?
Well, it's dead. It's already dead and buried now. 9 times out of 10, that's dead and buried, because the one thing they're doing is not going to have a think about it. And the fact they need to have a think about it means they're weak on some of the key pieces of information. Well, that's not going to get any better walking away from you, because you're the only person that can answer the question. Every other answer is now going to be supplied by someone even less knowledgeable than them. At least they were partisan to the conversation. When they go to speak to their business partner who wasn't there, or their mate in a pub, they're only going to make the same default assumptions that they probably already thinking. So when they say they're going to have a think about it, obviously, especially in the United Kingdom with polite, no one wants to say no. One thing they're doing is not having a think about it. If you took 100 people who said, "I'll think about it," maybe 1, 2 might come back. The other 98 don't exist. They're going to blank you off the planet. It's already dead. They did, but something was colossally missing. Either you weren't confident selling yourself, so they weren't confident buying. They were confused. They didn't think they had a problem. It wasn't worth solving. They didn't understand how you solved it. Some level of understanding, lack of understanding, or typically they loved it. They saw exactly what they needed you for, but the business couldn't articulate value. So the person saw price, And now you're in a price game and you can't win that because there's always something cheaper than you. So they love it emotionally. They can't justify it logically. They will go to a cheaper but inferior option, which won't help anyone. So there's thousands of problems.
So if you're a listener at the moment and you know that either your sales team or you are getting answers of our think about it, which, to be honest, we all have, you have to, what you're saying is you have to step yourself back and consider, actually, how did I get to that point? And what could I have done better to really generate the confidence and say what my solution, how they would help that person's problem? Is that what you're suggesting?
So the problem everyone has is I put it into three categories as why the conversations will fizzle out, because it's easy to deal with a set. So people get in their own way. If they don't value themselves, is it possible the buyer doesn't value? If you're not confident selling yourself, is it possible they're not confident? If you don't tell them that you have a top tier service, they'll assume you don't have one. So people get in their own way. That's one of the reasons. If they're confused, that's one of the reasons. Now, this is the problem, right? So if they're confused, something in that messaging was confusing. They were lost. They didn't understand. It was an understanding problem. So you as the business owner realize that, and you go, okay, we'll make it easier. Here's an example. So a business says, we do VoIP. And the person's got a problem where that would be the solution. But VoIP doesn't mean anything to them. So they don't know what problem they're meant to even have where VoIP is the solution, right? They don't know. They're not talking in technical jingle jangles. It doesn't mean anything. So they say, when you say VoIP, what do you mean? And the person goes, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. This is too confusing. I'll make it easier. They go, sorry, I always use acronyms. It's Voice over Internet Protocol. You see, to the expert, that is easy, but it's not easy enough, right? So the person now doesn't want to look like a tool the second time round. So they go, thank you very much for explaining it. That really helped. And they're thinking, please, God, don't ask me a question. I've got no idea what you're whittling on about. An expert has not got the ability to make the message simple enough for the beginner, because everything to an expert is easy and they have no frame of reference anymore.
And I think we all those who sell fall into that trap. You get so knowledgeable about whatever your niche is. And one of the things I've always been told is you've got to pretend your client is a 6 or 10-year-old, and make that as simple as you possibly can.
Yep.
You agree with that?
Oh, I agree completely. It's about making the message 6-year-old simple. The problem is that's almost impossible from the position of the expert, because they can't remember what it was like to be the beginner again. It's like trying to forget the twist at the end of a film. If you've seen Sixth Sense, and if you haven't, I'm going to ruin it for you. You watch through the end and you realize he's dead and only the boy saw him, but you can't watch the film again without knowing the twist, right? It's the same. You can think you're making it 6-year-old simple. I'll put money on it. You are not, because everything is easy. So you're trying to pick out certain keywords, make certain substitutions, use easy examples. And you can ask the question, this is the most moronic question ever asked. Does that make sense? There's only one answer to the question, does that make sense? The answer is yes, because the other answer is no, I'm thick. No one answers it that way, or certainly not twice in a row. They ask it once, you make it simple, it's still not simple enough. They then say, does that make sense? Now, no one has ever said no 2 times in a row. So now they say, thank you very much for explaining it so clearly. You think they've understood. They've got no idea. The only way out of dodge is to say, what we're going to do is have a think about it. But this is where the honesty comes from. I say to people, what is it you want to do? Is it close more, upsell more, charge more? What's the thing? Oh, we want to convert more. Okay, so how many out of 10? 3 out of 10 we get, so 7 out of 10 say no. Well, they don't quite say no. Did they say yes? No. What's the opposite of yes? It's a no. Let's call it a no. Let's deal with reality. Stop tricking yourself. If 7 out of 10 said no, why? There's no reason. Well, there obviously is a reason. Would you like more than 3 out of 10? Yeah. What's stopping you? Nothing. You're not honest enough. If you want more than 3 out of 10 and there's no reason to get the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, why aren't you getting it? You're not dealing with reality. There has to be a reason. Are you honest enough to admit it? If you're not, you're stuck on 3 out of 10 for the rest of your sodding life. What stops the other 7 saying yes? They didn't make a good choice. Well, whose fault is it? Whose fault? You've got a solution. They've got the problem. You're an expert. They're a beginner. They didn't make a good choice, possibly because they didn't understand. Whose fault is that? Them for being thick as the beginner, or yours as the expert for not making it easy enough? Blame the beginner all day long. You can say he was thick, he was stupid, he didn't get it. Your fault. You didn't make it easy enough. Put the blame on you. Deal with it. If you want to improve, progress, need solutions, need problems, the problems are all yours. When they make bad choices, blame them all day long, but it's your fault. You're the expert. Until people are willing to say, yeah, I'm not confident selling myself. My messaging's too confusing. I'm not good at communicating value. Nothing will change. While it's still their fault for making a bad choice, no, you can't make any progress. It's a pointless exercise.
So, I mean, everyone obviously is going to do the very best they can, or the vast majority of people would. And I would suggest that a 1 in 3 or 1 in 5 conversion rate with most things is a good conversion rate.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is actually you should really. There's 2 things you got to do, but let's talk about the 2 or the 4 which got away. Now, people don't tend to be totally honest with you if you go back to them and say, "Why did you not buy from me?"
No.
So, what's the what process or advice would you give our listeners to say, okay, let's reflect on the ones I've lost?
Yeah. Okay. So if you take, you talked about earlier about make it 6-year-old simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. But how many people then that claim it's 6-year-old simple have tested it on a 6-year-old? I mean, why waste those words? Why pick 6? If you go, I tried it with my mate at the pub. Well, is your mate 6 at the pub? No, he's 24. Well, don't tell me it's 6-year-old simple when you've play tested it on a 25. A 6-year-old's been to school for 1 year, 1 year of maths, 1 year of English. A 25-year-old's lived a life. So if you think it's 6-year-old simple, I've got an idea. Test it on a 6-year-old. Everyone's either got a child, nieces and nephews, got a friend who's got a child. 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's extend the game. Does anyone know someone that's got a 9-year-old? Right? Yes, that's not a hard game. Right? Someone's got a niece, nephew, son, daughter that's of that age. Give them 1 line of what you do. Then say, little Timmy, what do you think? Tell me what you think I do. And if they just do this, it's infinitely too hard. If they try to tell you back, but it's mixed up, it's too confusing. You can't say this to an adult. Please regurgitate everything that you think I'm going to do. It's horrific. They're never going to use you again. You can't put people under that duress. It's not their fault you've made such a fist of your messaging. But if you want to make it 6-year-old simple, speak to a 6-year-old and tell them what you do and see if they can regurgitate it. If they can't, it's not easy enough.
Okay. Well, I've never ever heard of anyone suggest you do that, so that's definitely a thing I'm going to have to try and find and try out. But what's your take on sending surveys to people and things like that, or getting a customer service to call up and just say, look, notice you inquired, what do you think of our service?
Yeah, I mean, you can do. I mean, again, it's not really something I've done, but in principle, it seems okay. But the thing is, you're putting people, if you phoned up someone and they weren't expecting a call, you don't want a quick answer, you want a good answer. But the problem is you're going to only set up a quick answer. This person's suddenly under duress, expected to be perfectly in tune with your question. They've spent an hour prior to it really deliberating on, so they're just going to pull something quickly up. It's like when I go on websites, it says, how did you find it? I'll just click the fastest button there is. It's just getting in my way. So I might have found it via Twitter, but I'm just going to click the nearest button to me. So you just get a lot of naff answers. There is a way I would do it. It's like, if you've ever seen these, it's like, what's your favorite meal? Is it A, pizza, B, Chinese, or C, curry, or D, other? You didn't really want the people to pick the three multiple choices. You wanted the three multiple choices to trigger their brain into gear. So they went, it's stew and dumplings. So one way is to give people some flavors of the sort of answer you're expecting, then ask them, it might be one of the given answers, but it might have triggered them to go, actually, no, it's this. You're likely to get a truer answer. Otherwise, it's a marketing exercise, which is completely redundant, and all you'll achieve is collecting a great load of nonsense.
So let's just recap on what we've covered so far. So what we're saying is that one of the most important things is to understand what your customer's problem is.
Yeah.
You've got to get rid of any jargon, industry jargon. You've got to mentally pretend your customer is under 9 years old.
Yeah.
You've got to come to a solution with the customer's problem, which actually relates to the customer and they can see the value.
Yeah. So,
sorry?
If you take the word sales and selling, and you crumpled it up into a ball and you threw it as far away as you could humanly throw it, that's what you want to do, right? It's got nothing to do with selling. It's about people making good choices. That's what it's about. You're the best solution, but before they can use you, they have to choose you. Do they make the best choice? If 8 out of 10 choices aren't the best, you won't get the business. It's not relevant to your service. So it's how do you help people make better choices? You don't help people make better choices by steering them into the choices. You make better choices by making the choices easier. Whose job is it to make a choice? Easy, the expert or the beginner? Well, it's not the beginner. If they're making assumptions, misconceptions, if they don't understand, if they can't answer it, that's your fault. You didn't make it simple enough. If you could make it so simple a 6-year-old child could understand it, is it possible that an adult could not? No. Can I just use a really weird example to show you how it's got nothing to do with selling?
Yes.
Okay. So imagine, do you have any kids, Andrew?
No, I don't know.
But you know of children, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know
small
children.
ones.
Yeah, little things, yes.
So imagine it was a friend's child, a niece and nephew, someone, let's say they're 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever, doesn't matter. And they were struggling with their homework. Maths, English, let's say it was maths, it's irrelevant. They're struggling. They don't understand what the question's asking. They don't understand which methods, which formulas to use. They don't know how to get to the answer. They just don't understand. They're stuck. I'm going to ask you a weird question. It's deliberately weird. Everything I do is deliberately weird. So the child of 6, 7, 8, 9 doesn't understand. You're going to help them. Do you, A, make it easier for the child to understand? You slow it down. You explain it in a variety of different ways. You repeat certain key lines. You use objects like dice, cake, to move things around, to give them a visual image as well as an audio image, yeah? So do you, A, make it easier for the child of 6 to understand, or B, get better at selling?
I'll say.
So the child of 6 can't do their maths homework. You chose option A, make it simpler for the child of 6 to understand. Why didn't you choose option B, get better at selling?
Oh, no. So I didn't do it because it doesn't necessarily mean the child will understand because I get better at selling.
It's got no relevance, has it? The point is, it's a trick question because getting better at selling has no relevance whatsoever to a child of 6 understanding. Yeah. What is the key fundamental reason people make bad choices in life? They don't understand. They haven't got enough information. They've got the wrong information. They don't understand the information. All we want people to do is make a good choice, to see that we are the best solution to their problem. But to do that, they need to understand. The more they understand, the better their choice. Is that fair? The more they understand about it? Yeah. Conversely, the less they understand, they still need this much information, but they only know this bit. That means that's replaced with a guess. Do you like guessing for money?
Not madly.
No, no one likes guessing for money. So this is how much information you need. If you have this much, this is replaced by a guess. We need people to understand. The more they understand, the better their choice. And how do you help people understand? Make it easier to understand. The answer of get better at selling was horse shit. It had no relevance. That is why I do sales without selling. That's why I show businesses how to make their message so simple that a 6-year-old child could understand it, because they think they need to get better at selling, and selling was never relevant. You can force people into a headlock, you can manipulate them, convince them, you can do anything you like, but that wasn't the easiest, most effective, most ethical way to get them to say yes.
And I would imagine that a lot of your clients and people you work with, the end result of this past the sale is an increase of recommendations and referrals.
Yeah, because who's the best salesperson of every business? The loyal cheerleader. So if the best salesperson of your business is the loyal cheerleader, are you going to make it hard for them to sell you, or easy? Well, easy, because then why would I? Exactly. So if you make it simple for them to buy, they will in turn make it simple to sell to the next person, because they're talking in the language of the buyer, not of the salesperson. Most people with a problem can't even articulate the problem. So you've got to be able to talk in the language that the buyer understands. They've got to have a problem first. Until they've got a problem, your solution solves nothing. I do this, this, and this, but I haven't got the problem. And even if you had, if I don't think I've got the problem, I don't care about your solution. Don't sell problems. Don't sell solutions, sell problems. The first thing is they've got to see they've got a problem, but not in jargon. And this is, so people think they're not, this is, we come back to the voice over internet protocol. Easy is not easy enough. People think I don't use jargon. But if it doesn't make sense to the buyer, I don't care whether you call it jargon or you don't call it jargon. If they don't know what it means, if they haven't got that problem, they ain't going to give a stuff about your solution. So a conversation will always end with, I'll have a think about it, because they're not going to say no, because there's no point. I don't care.
Okay, so we've talked about how to gain the business, but what I was interested in, what you touched on earlier, Ian, was that you were talking about actually the people who do actually buy from you. Most people go, yes, great, I've got an order, but actually you saying, actually stop, let's think about this for a moment. What do you mean by that? Okay, we've got an order, but perhaps they haven't bought the gold package.
Yeah, again, so you've got two choices. The first choice is to use you. The second choice is to not use you. But we already know that's not a good choice, because the other options are inferior competition, do it themselves badly, do nothing. They're the only choices that exist, but yet they were used. But now the game's better. So they say, yes, please. Right? They say, yes, please. But most businesses don't have one thing. They have a variety of options. So this won't be true of everyone, but this overall thing will be. Some people have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If 5 services, providing you're not unethical and you're not selling mad shoes to a man with no legs, right? If you think 5 services is what they should be taking because it solves problems, helps them more, and they take 1, 5 minus 1 leaves 4. It wasn't easy enough to take the other 4, so that's not a good choice. If you do a good, better, best, and the one that's going to help them the most in the quickest time is the best, and they pick the bronze, how can that be a good choice? It's a better choice than not using you, but it's not the best choice. And if we're trying to help people make better choices, if you got 63% in a maths test, would you be quite pleased?
Not really, no.
If you got 92%, would you be pleased?
I'll be very pleased, yes.
But you'd still have 8 more to play with.
Yeah.
See, why not go for, this is what people do, they settle. If someone says our sales are pretty good at the moment, good, you don't need my help. Where's your ambition? Where's your ambition? If you don't want to do better, you don't need, the only problem you've got is a lack of ambition. Right? But if you want to do better, now your problem is what's stopping you do better. But if you go, our sales are pretty good at the moment, good. You've got no ambition to do better, so you don't need to go looking for problems. You've settled. But if you want to do better, whether that's more people say yes or they say yes to better things, now are you honest? What is it that's stopping them do it? Don't blame them, blame you. You can do something about you. You can do naff all about them. What is it? Yeah, they're picking my bronze because they don't see the value of my gold, silver. Okay, so that's the problem, isn't it? Why aren't clients seeing the value? Why are they obsessing over price? So it's like, we've got to find the problem. So yes, a yes is better than a no, but a naff yes, when it should have been a great yes, is still a problem. If you want to improve, you've either got to turn no's into yeses or yeses into better yeses. There's only two ways of doing it. Or you just go after more and more and more conversations and just, you convert 2 out of 10. You need 4, so you have to see that 10 and then another 10. Or you could have just seen the original 10 and converted 4 of them. Find the problem. What is it?
Okay, so I want to dig down a little bit further about you talking the bronze, silver, and gold.
Yeah.
And I know that from my own history and working with salespeople, obviously, as I have, there's always that concern about the customer being scared away because you keep putting the price up.
Yeah.
So how do you do? Well, actually, you're going to get this, and it's going to cost you more. How do you measure that up?
Yeah. So I'll give you a few little variants just for people to think on this. So, have you ever been to a shoe shop, Andrea?
Yes, I have.
And they've got hundreds of shoes, haven't they?
Yes, they do have a lot of shoes.
A lot of shoes. Do you pick up every single shoe in the shop, or do you typically pick up the ones that you think will make you look good?
Typically, I'm quite traditional, so I'll go for the ones which I'm used to.
Yeah.
The style I'm looking at.
So something has to be something emotionally you like. It's the style you're looking for. So the shoe shop's got hundreds of shoes. You don't pick them all up. You typically pick up the ones that either you think really good, or the ones that fit the purpose you're after, or even a couple of ones that look absolutely sodding ridiculous just for a laugh. Yeah, but you knew what you were doing. They were for a laugh.
Yeah.
Has this ever happened to you? Go into a shoe shop, hundreds of shoes. You only pick up a few shoes, and as the shoe comes towards you, one of the shoes you like, the sole of the shoe comes towards you and you can see the price ticket. And as the shoe comes towards you, you thought maybe £46, but it turns out they're £384. So has this ever happened? You pick up the shoe. I like these shoes. As the shoe, whoa, put the buggers back. Has that ever happened?
It has, yes.
That's it. Okay. So this is a key thing. People buy on emotions and justify with logic. You bought it emotionally. You couldn't justify it logically.
Okay.
Right. Every decision in life is made of two halves. Bought it on emotions, justified it with logic. The reason you didn't pick up all the other shoes is because there was no emotional driver behind them. They didn't they didn't do anything you wanted. So the first thing is you eliminated 99% of the shoes because there was no emotional drive to them. But the second thing is now you like the shoes. If you can't justify the shoes, they get put back. Right. So value is made of two halves, emotion and logic. Most people's emotional half is all right. Most people's logical justification is absolute dog mess. Absolutely awful. Now, my background was a degree in mathematics, so I'm wired the other way around. I'm not even convinced I'm human, so my emotional bit is a thin. My logical justification is pretty good, right? So people, why does anyone do anything? Why do I want a web page? Why do I want marketing? Because I want more clients taking more services. Ultimately, I want more money. Or people save you money. Or they save you time. And what do you do with the time? You make more money or you save more money. Everything leads to money. Businesses occasionally say, we don't, Ian. We get rid of anxiety. Okay, what's the problem of anxiety doing? Stopping you go to networking. What does that mean? Stopping me get clients. What does that mean? Stop you making money. Don't tell me it doesn't go to money, right? So you make people money and you save people money. So my question would be, oh, brilliant. I'm going to a website because website gets me traffic. Traffic gets me clients. Clients gets me money. How much money are you going to make me? Here are the answers. I don't know. I can't tell. I'd be guessing. It's impossible to say how long's a piece of string. No answer whatsoever. What does that mean? You're the expert. I'm the beginner. I'm after information. You can't give it to me. I'm going to replace that with a guess. And do I like guessing for money? No, I do not. No one likes guessing for money. If I can't see the emotional benefit of the better service and the logical, how much money you can make me, how much money you can save me, don't be surprised if this choice is too hard. I will go for the cheapest options. You can't win a price battle with price. You can't win a price battle on emotions alone. You can only win a price battle selling on emotions and logic. If you want money, you've got to show them how much money. I know you can't time travel. I know you can't see into the future, but you can give people a realistic expectation based on certain assumptions and their own numbers. So it comes down to you're making the choice too hard. If they don't see the value, your fault, you didn't demonstrate it. If they didn't think they had a problem, if they didn't think their problem was bad enough, if they didn't understand your service, your fault, you didn't make it easy enough. If they weren't confident buying, you weren't confident selling. If they didn't value it, neither did you. It's always your fault. But when you go, good, I'm going to solve it now, that's when the game changes.
That's brilliant. That's a great story and explanation there, Ian. Thank you. So, okay, so we're coming to the end of this podcast now. So, Ian, tell us what you do and how you help clients.
So I help clients make smarter buying decisions by simplifying your pitch, helping you clarify your message, and helping you communicate value, making your message so simple that a 6-year-old child would get it. So if you're looking to improve the outcome of conversations, if you want more conversations saying yes instead of no, if you want to upsell, if you want clients taking the better services, more of the service, I can show you how to do that by simplifying your message and showing you how to communicate value. So it's all about how can you help clients make smarter buying decisions, not how can you use sneaky manipulation, sales tactics and closing techniques to get them to say yes.
And for benefit of our listeners, you help existing sales teams and you also help people who've never sold before in their lives.
Yeah, I teach everything from a solopreneur to a team of reluctant non-sales professionals that love helping, that hate selling, to a team of experienced guys. I've been a salesman now for 26 years. I've done this and developed this over 26 years. I don't care if they say, I love selling, we're a sales team. As long as they say, we'd love more clients taking more services for more money, and we're honest enough to say we're in our own way, we're not as confident as we'd like, our message isn't simple enough, we're not demonstrating value, or some combination. Are you willing to be honest about what the real problem is? That's all I need. Ambition, honesty. And are you willing to believe, I don't care how many sales courses you've been on, are you willing to believe that I might know something that you've never seen? If you say I've been on sales courses indicating that you've already seen what I'm going to deliver, already you're closed-minded. But if you think I might possibly know something that you've never tried, we've got ambition, honesty, and an open mind, and I can work wonders. One of them missing collapses in a big heap.
Wonderful. And Ian's contact details will be on whatever system you're listening to this podcast on, so you can reach out to Ian if you feel like you need your assistance. So just a quick recap. So this has been brought to you by the Academy World. We also support startup businesses and SMEs. So if you need any support, whatever that may be, please do reach out to us. And again, our contact details are below. Other than that, Ian, thank you so much for your time today. And next week, we'll be talking to a different expert on a totally different subject matter. And so please tune in then. Until then, have a great week. Bye now.